It is snowing and blowing outside, so we're just going to do this right here in the office. It has been about 4 sessions since I recorded, so we're going to go ahead and record this one. Hopefully, we're going to give it a shot. The last 4 sessions, the first one was good, second 2 not so good. The fourth one, I was back positive again, and then that last one was a massive win. That was PLO. So we might go ahead and play some more PLO tonight. If that's where the money's at, then that's where I'm gonna be. But we'll try and get some video coverage, and we'll see you after. Stick around for the end to hear a couple PLO hands from the other day. So now let's get into it. We're at Gun Lake Casino. The 1-2 is the first game we get into. We buy in for $200 and we sit in the 1 seat. Our very first hand, we get dealt pocket aces in the hijack. Under the gun opens for 6. I bump it up to 20. The big blind and the under the gun both call. The flop comes 6-6-3 with 2 clubs. They check it to me, and I make a standard continuation bet of $20, expecting any flush draws and overpairs to call, but they all fold, and we win our first pot of the day. We move over to seat 8 to get a better recording angle. We're now in the early position with 8-6 of diamonds and already a limper in front of us. We limp along as raises are pretty rare in these games, and we can often see these prospective hands pretty cheap. However, this time, middle position makes it 12 to go, and with 2 callers before me and closing the action, I call as well. The flop is pretty favorable. 10-9-7 of diamonds. Yep, we flop a straight flush. We do a standard check over to middle position, and they bet out 20. The other 2 both call, and I call behind, hoping someone can catch up. The turn is the 4 diamonds. This is a bad card if they don't have the ace of diamonds, but a great card if they do. Either way, we'll know pretty quick by checking it to them. Unfortunately, it checks through. The river is the queen of spades. I check it again, hoping the middle position will thin value or bluff, as everyone has shown weakness, but he just checks back. I probably should have bet small here to get a crying call from a weak diamond, a set, a straight, or overpair. These little mistakes can really add up. I flip over the hand and immediately win the straight flush bonus, which at the time was only $50 for diamonds. I also get on the board for the hourly high hand of $250, which I hold on to win. Here we are in hand 3, 45 minutes of folding with only one hand, one with a continuation bet, and we are on the button with 7-4 of clubs. The hijack makes it 6. The cutoff calls. I call with position. The blinds both call. The flop comes 7-4-8. The cutoff takes control of the betting with $25. I call and everyone else folds. The river is the 6 of diamonds. Now the cutoff checks it over. He took over betting on the flop after just calling pre-flop. So what is his range? There are 2 flush draws on board and only 1 card to a straight. He's probably afraid I might have a straight at this point. When he bets on the flop, he's got a lot of draws, some straights, some small overpairs, sets, 2 pairs, and weak made hands. When he checks the turn, we can drop off the straights. Most people are going to bet strong with their straights for fear of either flush coming in. His sets would probably also still be betting here. His most likely holdings are flush draws, straight draws, weak made hands, so I bet 60, looking to get called by those flush draws. If he calls, then we need to be careful on the river. If he raises, we can just fold as he's got the straight already. He actually folds and we take it down. The button has straddled to $5. We've got deuce, deuce, and the small blind. We complete, middle position calls. The straddler now raises to 25. I call to set mine with around 155 big blinds effective. Middle position folds. The flop is 4-6 king. I check it over, and the button bets out a small $15 bet. I've got a pair here and have options to take it away on later streets if he shows weakness, so I call the small bet. The turn comes the 5 of diamonds. I check it over. The plan is now to check raise a small bet and fold to a big bet. He bets almost pot at $75. This spot is underbluffed, and if we had a big hand, we'd be raising big expecting calls, so I fold, abandoning my plans to bluff. Here we are with the 5th highlighted hand. We are under the gun with ace king, and we open to $10. 3 callers before the big blind raises it to 65. This guy has been raising and betting quite a lot. I could raise here all in or call to see the flop. I can go either way here. This time I have a feeling this guy could have a big pair. In that case, I want to see the flop before putting all the money in. Everyone else folds. The flop comes king 7-3. We hit top pair, but with 3 hearts on board, it's not a comfortable spot. He leads up for $40. I don't really believe him. He's super aggressive. He's always betting. At some point, you got to make a stand. I've got top pair, top kicker, and I really don't think he's got it. I got a short stack, so I just shove it all in. He insta calls. The run out is 2 offsuit cards, and we hold to win it with our top pair. The next hand, we are in the big blind, and we've got aces again. The hijack opens to 10. The small blind calls, and I bump it up to 35. This is a bit low, and I should be raising to around 50 here, but both the hijack and the small blind call. The flop is 8, 7, 10. Depending on stack sizes, I will either bet or check here. It's borderline, and I think with this flop, there is a good chance it will get bet. So I check it, but it does check through. The turn is now the 6 of clubs. This is a horrible card. Putting the flush out there, as well as 4 to a straight. Either could also have a set on this board. The small blind checks it to me, and I bet out 35. I think a bet of 20 is probably better here. The small blind calls. The reason 20 would have been a better bet is that if the small blind is slow playing, he'd be much more inclined to raise a smaller bet. So what is his range? He could have some weak flushes, a straight, trying to see a cheap showdown. He could also still have a combo draw, 2 pair, or a set is also possible. The river is a 5 of diamonds, and he checks it again. I've got some showdown value with the aces versus missed combo draws, kings through jacks that played it funny. If I bet, no better hand than mine is likely going to fold. He could still be slow playing a flush or straight, so I would have to go very large for him to even consider folding those hands, which I don't think he will. My 2 choices are to check back and pray the aces are good or bluff small. The small bluff might get a straight or worse to fold, but he could raise as a bluff himself, and I'd have to fold. This guy has been pretty aggressive, so I elect to just check back my small amount of showdown value. He tables ace-4 of clubs for the nuts. I was surprised to see such a strong hand, just calling the turn and checking the river. He was absolutely hoping I would bet so he could raise on the river. I take note of this and adjust my play accordingly. We find ourselves in the hijack with ace-queen. Early position makes it 15. I call and the big blind calls. I could have raised here, but near 100% of these guys are only betting their top hands, so I just elect to see a flop. The flop is 9-8 to rainbow. Early position continues for 20. This is a small bet with 2 overs. I could hit top pair. His likely holdings with a small bet are small overpairs, Jack 10 suited, 7-6 suited, although unlikely. A set of 9s or 8s are also unlikely, but still possible. Now, I know I said that most of these people are betting their best hands here, but we can't completely throw out some weaker hands because once in a while they do bet out those hands, but it is rare. I elect to float the flop with the intentions of taking away if he continues to show weakness or if I hit my overcards. The big blind actually calls as well. He's likely to be on a draw, combo, or possibly a 9 or 8. The turn is the queen. That's a pretty good looking card giving us top pair. It does bring in Jack 10 for the straight, but more likely big blind would have that than the early position. He does continue for a small $30 bet. This size doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Jack 10 is still on the table, though unlikely. A set is still on the table as well. This small bet is throwing up a red flag. It's possible he's bluffing ace king or some draw, maybe a last effort to bet a smaller pair. It's also possible he has aces or kings. I decide to just call to keep the pot small and see what he does on the river. The river comes a blank 3. It doesn't change anything. Early position now bets out for 100. That's a significant increase over his previous bets, but still barely over half pot. So what do we do? Is this guy capable of bluffing? I'm not sure. Did I play weak enough to give him rope? Yes, I sure did. Can I beat value? No, not really. If I raise, will he fold? Probably not. Stacks aren't deep enough to be scary. What about folding? Folding top pair to weak bets? Not sure that is a great idea either. The line doesn't make a whole lot of sense as far as the bet sizing. I think my hand is just strong enough to call here. If he's got me beat, he's winning the minimum. That means, given enough hands, I'll easily win this back. I like to call to see what he's up to. He shows queen queen for top set. So what is going on with his bet sizing? He was probably worried that I had the Jack 10. If I had raised on the turn and jammed the river, then maybe he would fold, but I still don't think so. Folding on the river might be the best option considering that line is underbluffed. We now move over to the 1-3 and sit in seat 1. It's over a half hour before we get any interesting hands, and this happens to be a double board bomb pot. We've got ace of diamonds, 3 of hearts. The board comes ace, 3, king, and king, queen, 10. 2 pair on the flop with a straight draw on the bottom. I check, hoping someone bets so I can raise and get a bunch of dead money in the pot, but that backfires and everyone checks. The turn comes 9 on top and 7 on the bottom. There are now 2 flush draws and straight draws. I can't let it check around again, so I bet out 65. We get 1 caller and the river comes jack and 4. That's not good. Flush draws and straight draws hit on the top, which is where my 2 pair were. On the bottom, I only have ace high. I check and he checks behind. Amazingly, he shows 9-8 for nothing, and I scoop with 2 pair and ace high. We keep on making mistake after mistake, and our next hand is pocket 9s on the button. I raise the limpers to $12 and the middle position and low jack call. The flop comes jack 7 4. The low jack now donks out for 25. I call with second pair and middle position calls. The turn is an ace and it checks over. How much showdown value do I actually have? When the low jack donks on the flop, he's probably got top pair or better. Maybe a combo draw. I should be betting here on the turn. With the ace hitting and the pot being small, a bet of 15 is going to get a lot of hands to fold. I make the mistake of checking back, thinking I have more showdown value than I actually have. The river is a 3, and the low jack now bets out 35, almost a pot-sized bet. After his check on the turn and this bet, it seems like he's holding a jack. I should be folding or raising, depending on if I think I can get him to fold. If I had an ace here, what would I bet to get a call from a jack? Probably around 75. So if I don't want to call, I need to make it much higher. Something like 150 should get a jack to fold almost always. This is the right bet here on the river, given the misplay on the turn. However, I don't do that. I make another bad play and just call. He flips over queen jack and wins the hand. A couple of minutes later, we have ace queen of diamonds in the low jack. We make our standard open to 15, the hijack, big blind, and early position all call. The flop is 9-7-3. I check it over, and the hijack bets out 45. The big blind calls. Early position folds, and now it's on me. All I have is 2 overs with no back doors. This is pretty typical. Either everyone folds pre or the hands go multi-way. When the big blind check calls with 2 of us behind, he has to have something. So I fold. We're back in the hijack. We've got ace king. Low jack opens at 25. I have 110 total. Nothing to do here except shove it all in. He snap calls and shows jack jack. The flop comes 8-8, 10-9, 10, and he holds to take it down. I add on another 200 and slide over to C2 to get a better view of the table. It's 40 minutes later. We have ace king in the big blind. Our stack has slowly dropped to about $160. I raise it up to 55, and then he jams with 9-9. I'm not going anywhere with ace king, so I call. Go down. Go down. Not too long later, and we're in the hijack with 9-10 of diamonds. We're now deep stacked, and we can play more of these suited connectors. Early position bets out 20. This guy has been betting and raising a ton of hands. Middle position calls, and the low jack calls. I decide to raise it up here because my hand is going to play well, and if I can take down the pot now, that would be great. Usually people will just fold to any re-raise anyway, as you can see from my other raises previously. So I make it 80, but now the cutoff immediately cold calls. This is not good. This usually signifies a really good hand, especially at these tables. I'm thinking we are now going to go 5 ways, because once one calls, they all tend to call behind. But the early position now jams for 700. It folds to me, and with the guy behind me and the huge overbet, I don't have a choice but to fold. And now the cutoff instantly mucks. What is going on here? Easy money for the aggro guy. Okay, let's try again under the gun with pocket 5s. I open it up to 15, and of course there are 5 callers. The flop is ace queen 6. Couldn't get much worse. Now the big blind donks out for 35. With an underpair and 4 people behind, I don't really have a choice but to fold, and it folds around. This is pretty typical hand here, where you bet or raise, get called multi-way, and then have to fold on the flop. The only good thing is, while you lose a bit more hands, when you do win one, you win a much larger pot on average. Not too many of our hands are winning, so we're going to try one more time with pocket aces in the small blind, and we're hoping to get some of our money back. Unfortunately, it folds around. I toss in $2, and the big blind is adamant about chopping. We have 3 minutes left to hit the last $250 high hand. Eventually, he's fine with it. The flop comes ace, ace, 6. That's right, I flop quads. I check it over. Now the only issue is how to get $20 into the pot without him folding so I can qualify for that high hand. I hold up $10 in chips in my hand. He checks back. The turn is a 3, and I check again, planning on betting the 10 on the river. I'm still holding the 10 in my hand. He now bets out 10. Perfect. I call. The river is a 10. I check it, and he checks back, announcing he has a 6 and thinking he's going to win this pot. I flip over the quads with 2 minutes to spare, and we get the $250 bonus.
I look up to the board. I'm like, it's a good thing I bet 10.
No, there's 20.
I know, so there's just enough.
That's why I was holding up 10.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Flamingo also works. That probably a little better though.
We've got ace 4 clubs in the low jack, and the button straddle is on for $6. The small blind calls, the big blind raises it to 20. Middle position calls, I call, the button calls, small blind calls, and the flop is 10, 6, deuce. I check it back with the nut flush draw, and the button makes it 55. The small blind calls, and I jam. The button folds, and the small blind eventually calls. Watch the run out.
Oh, you got me caught.
With that hand, we are finally back positive on the day, but we aren't done quite yet. A couple of minutes later, we've got another premium in the small blind, ace king of hearts. We raise it up to 20, and only the early position calls. The flop comes jack 8-3. I check it over to see what he wants to do, and he checks it back. The turn is now a jack of hearts. There's little chance that he has a jack here, so no reason to check it. I make a delayed continuation for 20, and he instantly mucks. The good hands just keep on coming. Now we look down at king in middle position. There is a straddle for 6. Small blind raises it to 20. Big blind calls, so I raise it up to 75. Normally, everyone's either going to call or everyone's going to fold here. Typically, everyone just folds. With the deeper stacks and not wanting to make the error of raising too small like I did last time, this seems like a good amount. Both the button straddle and the small blind call. The flop comes 9, 7, 6. I keep up the pressure with a $75 bet. I should have either bet smaller, like 45, or checked to see what the button wanted to do. The button does call, and the small blind folds. The turn is the 3 of clubs. This card doesn't really change anything. I'm not thinking straight and just jam to protect my kings. I fell into this mistake because of the mistake on the flop. Considering the flop, I should be betting small here or checking. He calls, and the river is a king, giving me a set. For a moment, I feel better, but then he flips over 8-5 for a straight. The multiple errors I made in this hand caused me to lose the maximum. I really need to work on this. We've got a bit of a short stack now after the kings, and we have ace queen in the small blind. I raise it to 20, the big blind, the early position, the middle player, and the low jack all call. The flop comes ace 8-8. Not a bad flop at all. I check it multi-way, and the big blind bets out 45. That's less than half pot. Everyone folds. I raise it to 90. Why min raise here? If he has an ace, he's likely to call. If he has an 8, he's likely to raise again. He does in fact jam, but it's only $70. Did I just make another error based on pot size? Deep stacked, this would have worked perfectly. Short stacked though, I don't see how I can really fold. I call, and he hits another 8 on the river for quads with 8-4. I bust again and head out. It's about time to end the session anyway. In the end, we're down 800, not including the bonus hand. The good news is the next recorded session is much better. So now it's time for the 2 bonus PLO hands. Got in, immediately sat at the PLO, didn't record anything. That one's a lot harder to record and write notes and stuff for. But I sat with 197 and got a couple of good hands, so I was up to around 4 or 5 when I had King, Queen, Jack of clubs with a 5, and the flop gave me open-ended with the wrap. The turn gave me the nuts, and another guy shoved all in after potting it, and the king came on the river, didn't help him, so I still had the winner. And then the next hand he rebought for $500. The very next hand I've got King, Queen, clubs, 9-8, I think that's what it was, something like that. Anyway, there's a whole bunch of limpers, so I just go ahead and limp. I'm on the button, and then he's in the big blind, and he pots it to 20. 3 people call, so I just throw in the $20, and then the small blind calls. The flop comes King, Queen, 5, and he pots again to something like 100 or whatever it was. And so I'm the only caller, and then the turn is a blank, and he pots it again, this time for like 320. So I'm like, I don't know what he's doing. I've got top 2, I got the redraws, so I just called again. I figured he'd probably just throw in the rest of his money on the river, which wasn't much. And the king came, and he did throw in the rest of his money, so I had top boat, and I took down that massive pot right after he rebought for 500. And he had pocket queens, so he got really screwed on that one. But now we're waiting for the 1-2 or 1-3 tables. The promo ended, so everyone left. Thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, hit the like button, subscribe if you're not subscribed, and drop a comment down. Let me know what I did right, what I did wrong, and what you'd like to see on the next video. And good luck at the tables.